Oh, you're good.
Okay.
So what's our topic?
Solving equations. And we have the equation 5 to the power of x plus 3 equals 125 to the power of 2x minus 1. And so first you have to make the bases match. So right here we change the 125 to 5 to the third power because it's equivalent to 125. And so now you have to times the exponent right here to the variable next to the letter. So we did 3 times 2, which equals 6x minus 1. And so now you have to make the bases cancel out, so that's why they're not here. And so now you just have to solve for x. So you just subtract the x over here, and then it gives you 5x. And then you have to add the 3 from this side to this side, which gives you 6 equals 5x. And then divide by 5, and then you get x equals 1.2.
Okay, so before we move on to our next equation, we want to go over some common mistakes you may make if you try and do this on yourself or on your own. One thing is when you start off with this problem right here, you might get the urge to not simplify this and just divide straight across, which will be problematic because you won't really be solving for a solution and you'll be left over with exponents, which we need to get rid of in order to find our actual solution. Another thing you might do is when you get to step 1 and you make the bases match, say you do this part right and you're down here, you might not think about actually taking, you might not times the exponent with this, you might think this is as far as you have to go. So instead you might do 5 to the power of x plus 3 to 5 times 5 times 5, get that answer out, but you still won't have your real answer. So make sure you do the following steps in order, and when you come out of it, you should have one solution right here. Okay, so when you're taking a test, sometimes you might not know how to do this by hand or in your head. So there are obviously other ways to do it, especially for our school, we get these nifty little calculators right here. So to solve for this, you want to find the solution for this, or the intersect is another way to say it. So you go to your school calculator, you click on, you go to y equals, let me just clear that out, and at y1, you would type in the left side of your function, so that part would just be 4x squared. And the other function, the one that's on the right side, you type that into y2, so just 2x, you'd graph, wait for that graph to pop up. Alright, and that intersection point right there, where they cross each other, that's where you want to find your solution. So you go to second, trace, and remember you're looking for the intersect. A 0 is where it crosses the x-axis, so you don't want to pick that. You're not looking, this isn't a polynomial, so you're not going min or max. You want to find where they intersect. So when it says first curve, you're just going to go to the right of your first graph. Second curve, you're going to go about the same distance on your second graph. And then when it says guess, you just want to get as close as you can to where they intersect. So our answer for that one is 0, because they cross right there. That's 0, and that would be your solution. Alright, so you might get a problem like this where it says graph the function, so it's pretty self-explanatory. But one common mistake a lot of people make when they see this is they'll graph the top part, but they won't do the bottom part. And that's basically the entire thing. You have to graph everything together in one thing. So again, for those of you who don't know how to work your calculators yet, I'm going to turn this off real quick and start it back on. You go to y equals. Your y1, you're going to type in the entire function, the whole enchilada. Use parentheses too, that's important. Do not leave out anything that's shown in the function, because if you do, something is going to happen and you might not like it. So x minus 1, close parentheses, and don't forget again that not to divide by the 4x, so divide it by 4x. Then you're going to graph. And that's your curve. That's really all you got to do. So then I just got to go to my graph, and I just got to.
That's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, that's my graph. This could be in a multiple choice question too, and let's say that they give you 3 graphs just for the heck of it, and one of them is like this, and the other one is like this. Okay, well first of all, we know this is wrong because it has a curve. Even by looking at the function, you can tell it's not just going to be a polynomial. So that counts that one out. And if it's just a flat line across, that means it's basically infinite, and we also know that's not right, because if you look at the function here, if it's infinite, then everything would match. Or there would only be one, like, if it was that, then it would be something like x equals 16. Or you would just graph 2x, and that would be your function.
What does a polynomial function look like?
Oh, let me erase this right quick. Okay. For those of you who don't know, a polynomial can look like two things. One, a happy face, or two, a frowny face. That's how you know, because it's open. It's a polynomial, and also if it's a smiley face, your curve is down here. This is a min, and this is a max, because your point is up here. Same down here. That's also important to know, just in case you have to graph for max or mins. So.
Okay, so right here we have multiple choice tips, and we're going to go back to this function.
Yeah, I still think it's A.
Okay, it's A, but let's say you had absolutely no idea what you're doing, and you just had your process of elimination. So right here for A, it's just a simplified version of this right here. So they just took away the 5 and simplified 125 to make it 25, which they did 125 divided by 5.
So what you're telling me is that's not a solution, it's just simplified.
Yes, it's just simplified. So A is not the answer.
Okay, what about B?
B is practically nothing. They just did the same thing. They just wrote down the answer. They didn't know what to do. So it's not B.
Okay.
D, like there's no pi here whatsoever. So how are you supposed to know what to do with pi? So pi is not the answer.
You sure
so,
it's not pi?
I'm sure it's not pi.
Okay.
Because how are you supposed to find pi when there's no possible
I was just, I'm sorry, I just, okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And so the only possible reason you have is C. When you finish solving your steps correctly, that's what you'll get.